What did you have for lunch yesterday? Take a moment, think about it, kind of make a mental note of it. Okay, do you have it in your mind? How much detail did you think about when you thought about what you had for lunch? I bet you said something like a salad or a sandwich. What you probably didn't do was think about a lot of details about the sandwich. You probably didn't say to yourself, I had a chicken sandwich. The chicken was grilled. It was a little bit dry, not too juicy. It was on French bread, which was soft in the middle, but a little hard and crispy on the outside. I had green, crisp lettuce on top with a couple of slices of juicy red tomatoes. There was mayonnaise spread lightly onto the bread. You probably didn't go into that much detail about the sandwich, and I wouldn't expect you to. But here's the thing. When we're speaking to people or just thinking about things, we don't really think in that much detail. It's not natural. We don't normally do that. When we're talking to people, we only give them as much information as they need to understand and then move on. But when we're writing essays, it's different. We want to give a lot of detail to make sure that our reader understands and has enough evidence and support to believe what we're saying is true. So if what we normally do is the opposite of what I'm asking you to do for an essay, how do you do it? And let's talk about some different types of support that you can use. You can use examples. You can use anecdotes, which are short stories, facts, statistics, and quotations. So one type of support that you can use is examples. And a lot of times we just use short examples like words or phrases, team sports, injuries, luxuries. But we can also sometimes use longer examples that are several sentences. But be careful, you don't want to just repeat the same idea a different way. Let me show you two examples. My new coworker is really obnoxious. He has an unpleasant attitude that makes him extremely annoying. There's a problem with this example. My example is that he has an unpleasant attitude that makes him extremely annoying. But that's not really an example. That's just a definition of the word obnoxious. So I'm really just repeating the same thing again. Now look at this second example. My new coworker is really obnoxious. He makes offensive jokes, tries to avoid doing work whenever possible, and is unfriendly to customers. In this example, I'm not repeating the same idea with different words. I'm getting more specific. I'm giving actual examples of instances when my coworker did things that were obnoxious. I'm giving proof or evidence of this behavior. Okay, so when you don't do this, when you don't get specific, you do something called circular reasoning. And basically, circular reasoning, if you look at the picture here, it's where you just keep going around and around and around in circles. You just keep repeating the same idea over and over again without getting more specific. So let's look at a couple of examples. I want you to think about which one of these shows circular reasoning. So let's say we make the statement a conflict broke out, and we want to give some support for that. Which one of these is circular reasoning, meaning it just says the same thing again? A, fists and plates flew as restaurant patrons scuffled over the last egg roll on the buffet. B, apparently some kind of disagreement caused a fight to take place. Or C, John accused Myra of taking his parking place and the two began to argue. Think about it for a moment. Which one is circular reasoning? Did you choose B? B is correct. B is circular reasoning. When we say a disagreement caused a fight to take place, that's basically the same thing as saying a conflict broke out. However, A and C give us some more information. They give us details. They explain a little bit more about what happened or how exactly the conflict broke out. Let's look at another example. Researchers have found that many of our grandmother's home remedies really work. Okay, now which one of these examples is actually circular reasoning? A, hot soup, the all-time favorite home remedy, eases congestion and aids breathing. B, warm milk really does induce sleep. Or C, it seems that Grandma may have known what she was talking about after all. Think about it for a moment. Did you choose C? C is the correct answer. Both A and B are actual examples of home remedies, and they show how they work. They're getting more specific. But C is very general and is just repeating the same idea. So if you do choose to use examples in your body paragraphs as support, be careful. Make sure that you are actually getting more specific and giving more details and not just finding a different way to repeat the same idea. Do a little bit of practice. Here is a topic sentence. College students often feel stress. What are some examples that you can give? Think about it for a moment. What did you come up with? Did you say a lot of homework causes stress or tests cause stress? Did you say something like balancing work and school or family and school can cause stress? Lack of sleep can cause stress. Those are all great ideas, but they're still pretty general. Could you get more specific? Could you say something like, college students often feel stress. Teachers give large amounts of homework to be completed in a short amount of time. Some students take many different classes and have large loads of homework from each class that builds up, and that often causes them to feel overwhelmed, right? Could you be more specific with your example? We're going to skip that for now. Let's talk about extended examples or anecdotes. Anecdotes are short stories that you tell from your experience or from the experience of someone that you know, and they help to explain the topic sentence in your body paragraph. A couple of things to be careful of with anecdotes. Make sure all the parts are relevant. Make sure that the story that you're telling is actually connected to the topic sentence and the topic of your body paragraph. And then also make sure that you use the correct verb tense. Most stories have taken place in the past, so we want to use past tense verbs when we're telling our anecdotes. So we talked about examples and anecdotes, but we don't always have our own ideas, or we don't always have the experience to be able to support ideas. So sometimes we can use outside sources, for example, facts, statistics, and quotations from experts. If you do choose to use these sources, do a little research. Now keep in mind it's not required for this assignment, but if you do choose to use outside sources, you have to make sure that you say where the information came from. You have to make sure that you cite the source. Citing the source means giving credit to the website, the book, the magazine for the facts and statistics. Now, you don't have to cite a source if a fact or a statistic is general knowledge, meaning if everybody would easily be able to access that information, or if it's information that most people would know already. Let's think about a couple of examples. Is this general knowledge, or would you need a source for this information? Number 1, a train ticket from Palatine to Chicago costs $5.75. Is that general knowledge, or is it a source needed? For number 1, you would need a source. Not everybody is from Palatine, and not everybody takes the train. So most people would have to look this information up. You would need to cite a source for number 1. Number 2, about 20% of adults in my country are unemployed. General knowledge or source needed? You would also need a source for number 2. It's a number, 20%, and it's a country that maybe not everybody is from. So not everybody would know this information. You would need to cite a source. Number 3, many college students take out student loans to pay for college. General knowledge or source needed? This one would be general knowledge. It's pretty commonly known that college tuition is very expensive and that student loans are a good option and that many college students do that. There's no specific number telling us exactly how many college students need loans, so this would be general knowledge. Number 4, 10 million people enter the United States as immigrants each year. General knowledge or source needed? This is source needed. Again, we've got a specific number, 10 million people, so we need to cite the source for that statistic. You can also use quotations, meaning the exact words of what someone said or wrote. With quotations, you always need to cite the source because it's not your words, it's the words of somebody else. Now, sometimes we don't know who said the quotation. If it's just a phrase or a saying, a proverb, if you don't know who said it originally, just say someone once said that. And quotations can be good, but they're not required. A final note about support in body paragraph is that you have to make sure that everything is connected. It has to be connected to your topic sentence. Each body paragraph has a unique idea, a unique supporting point that it's discussing. And so you have to make sure that all of the support, all of the examples or anecdotes, facts, statistics, quotations, whatever you might use, that it directly relates to the topic sentence of that body paragraph. And then all the topic sentences need to be connected to the thesis statement.